Alright guys, thank you for watching. In the video today, Sony promises more single player games on PlayStation despite its drive for live service games. We have a new Dead Space Remake trailer revealed, an update on the Next Gen PS5 version of The Witcher 3, and sticking with the CD Projekt Red theme, Cyberpunk 2077 sequel coming soon, along with a new Witcher trilogy. As usual, all the links to the articles are down below in the description. So looking at our first piece of news, Sony confirms that it is not moving away from single player games despite its push for live service games. Sony Interactive Entertainment's push into live service video games is by no means an indication that it is abandoning narrative-based single player titles. This has been confirmed by the PlayStation Worldwide Studios boss Herman Hulst. The console maker is planning to launch around 12 live service games by the end of the financial year ending March 2026, and it's also making a major push into PC and mobile. Hulst revealed recently that Sony is looking to invest more to help achieve these goals. Now, speaking with Axios, Hulst has said that while Sony is diversifying beyond the AAA offerings such as Uncharted, The Last of Us and God of War, it's not abandoning those types of games. Hulst goes on to say, "We have a history and a reputation for building these incredible narrative-driven single-player games, such as The Last of Us, Horizon, and the upcoming God of War Ragnarok. Some of our biggest titles in the single-player narrative-driven space are also our most profitable titles." Elsewhere, the executive has said that the hardware manufacturer could still develop PS4 games despite that it has no first-party titles confirmed for the console beyond God of War Ragnarok, which is also coming onto the PS5 console. Hulst does go on to say, "We certainly don't want to forget the millions of active players on PS4, and we want to ensure there are great games for them as well. We're evaluating it on a case-by-case basis." PS5 is obviously going to be Sony's major focus going forward now, and a number of third-party developers are slowly starting to produce games that are only available for current generation hardware. Okay, so nothing new really there. There's no way Sony is going to abandon its single-player games. They are Sony's bread and butter. Of course, I would expect them to diversify onto PC, mobile and cloud tech, but I never expect Sony PlayStation to stop making a product which has propelled them into the market leader position, and that is single player games. The first rule of business, well, business 101 as we know, is know what you're good at and then double down on that. Diversify and manage your risk, and be prepared to follow market trends in case the market dictates a change from your consumers. However, double down on your strengths. It sounds like normal business practice to me, and something many of us should really not have to worry about. What is a little disappointing is the idea that we could still be getting games made and released on the PS4. That is disappointing. I know not everyone will be able to pick up a PS5, but man, we're almost into 2023 and we still have the PS5 console being shackled because it has to consider development support for the PS4. The sooner we leave that generation or console behind, the quicker we're going to see an improvement in every aspect of new games. Studios will be able to utilize all of their development teams and third-party support studios to add value to the PS5 game, rather than split teams and resource to focus on a game having to be supported on two different console generations. The sooner we move on and focus on just the PS5, the better for all of us, in my humble opinion. Okay guys, so moving on to the next piece here. The Dead Space Remake gameplay trailer has been revealed and it looks absolutely terrifying. Dead Space Remake is scheduled for release on the PS5 and other platforms on January the 27th, 2023. EA Motive recently revealed the first in-game screenshots for the upcoming sci-fi horror title, which you can check out via the link in the description. In addition, the studio has confirmed that the remake will expand on secondary characters and franchise lore, including Isaac's girlfriend Nicole. Much like God of War 2018, Dead Space Remake will be presented as one sequential shot with no loading screens unless the player dies. Dead Space was originally released for the PS3, PC and Xbox 360 back in 2008, spawning 2 major sequels, an on-rails shooter, Dead Space Extraction, and an anime series. The series was put on ice for nearly a decade, with developer Visceral Games shutting down during this time. The gameplay trailer looks brilliant. This is something I cannot wait to get my hands on in the new year. Moving on to the next piece, the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt PS5 release date. That announcement could drop anytime soon. CD Projekt Red is reportedly set to announce the release date for the eagerly anticipated PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions of the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Fans are starting to get hyped up after a user posted on Reddit that the game's release date will be announced within 24 hours. This isn't an official confirmation by any stretch of the imagination, but it does align nicely with CD Projekt Red's group strategy update that was scheduled for later today. Beyond that, a number of CD Projekt Red team members have been fueling the fire on Twitter, although again nothing is set in stone as of yet. CD Projekt Red has confirmed that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt will be released for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S in Q4 2022, but a concrete date has not been set, or we haven't actually had one. The original version of the game launched back in 2015 for PS4, PC and Xbox, and I have to admit I've played a little bit of this game when it first came out, but never really got stuck into it. So been eagerly awaiting the next gen upgrade for the PS5 so I can actually give the game the time it deserved to play through and enjoy the game properly on the PS5. Heard great things about the game and how gamers have spent hundreds of hours exploring the world and just having a great time playing the game. So looking forward to jumping into this world and exploring it for myself when the next gen upgrade does land. Now, sticking with CD Projekt Red, CD Projekt Red announces a Cyberpunk 2077 sequel coming soon, along with a new Witcher trilogy. Today has been a banner day for CD Projekt Red as it waves around telling everyone who'll listen about every new game it has coming. Some that won't be here for the best part of a decade. Firstly, a sequel for Cyberpunk 2077, currently given the name or the code name Orion, is in development with no current release window. On top of that, CD Projekt Red has also announced 3 upcoming titles in the Witcher franchise, set to kick off a new trilogy. The first one is codenamed Polaris and is the same game CD Projekt Red has already announced, a new single-player, story-driven RPG set in the world of The Witcher. Then Cyrus, which is a new approach to The Witcher and will be developed by a new branch of the studio set to be set up in Boston. Together, the Boston and Vancouver teams for CD Projekt Red will be known as CD Projekt Red North America. Those teams will be working on Sirius, and part of this new approach the studio is talking about is the inclusion of multiplayer. The last new Witcher title coming is codenamed Canis Majoris, or Majoris, a title that will be developed by an external studio in an attempt to streamline the studio's ambitious pipeline. Also, CD Projekt Red is still aiming to have the next gen PS5 version of the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt to hit sometime this year, but no release date has as of yet been given. There will be 3 games in this saga, and we aim to deliver them over a 6-year period, starting from the release of Polaris. And that was said by Adam Kaczynski, President and Joint Chief Executive of CD Projekt Red. It's a bold statement, Kaczynski said, immediately after declaring the studio will attempt to release 3 major RPGs in that short period of time. He does refer to ways in which development of the second and third installments will be made smoother, such as being able to lay much of the technological foundation needed with Polaris, the first game. It's an extremely ambitious pipeline, and one that might cause 1 or 2 players to raise an eyebrow as they look back and forth from what happened with Cyberpunk 2077 after being announced a decade before it launched, and the studio claiming it'll have multiple games of the same scale out in less time. Well, I won't want to judge any studio by what they claim they were making and releasing. I'll only judge them for the product they put out. Cyberpunk 2077 was a joke when it released, especially on console. I haven't gone back to it since, so I may do so in the new year, but not right now. Heard great things about The Witcher and want to reserve judgment until I have given the game a full try with the next gen update, and when that hits later I'll give it a crack on the PS5. But the sounds of it, it's an exciting time if you're into RPGs and if you like the type of content that CD Projekt Red make. Okay, that's going to do it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching. On your way out, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and hit the bell notification icon, and I'll check you guys out on the next video.